When I start to explain this movie, as good as it is, when I start to explain it, you're going to be pretty confused, but not as confused as I was. Hey everybody, what's going on? Today we're going to be talking about a movie that I thought I saw, but I guess I didn't see all of it. I'll explain in a minute. Today we are going to be talking about the movie Arn, the Knight Templar. When I first saw this movie, it's been a while, and when I first saw it, apparently I didn't see it all. See, here's the thing. This movie has been two movies, and this movie has also been a TV miniseries. And then they made it one movie, and it's confusing because here's the thing. When I got to a certain point watching this, I didn't know. I was just like, what is going on? I don't remember any of this, like halfway through the movie. It's because when I watched it the first time, I had only saw part one. And that's what was kind of cool about it, because it's like, okay, I'm watching this movie I've already seen. I never reviewed it or anything. It's back when I wasn't reviewing movies. But I watched it, and I'm like, this is pretty new to me, and there's a lot going on. I will warn you, there's going to be some spoilers in this review. But if you really want to see this movie, it's not going to be for everybody. I really enjoyed all the stories going on. Honestly, this probably would have made just a better TV show. But it's because it feels kind of long. It's close to 2.5 hours between the two movies that they added together. But really, they're not long enough to be to be one movie each, But anyway, if you really want to watch this, they have it for free on Tubi TV. You can get the app and watch on that. You will have to sit through a few commercials, but honestly, I found that Tubi, they show you about a minute of commercials, and I think you get maybe 5 or 6 during the movie. So it's not terrible. It's not as bad as like IMDb TV's commercials where you're having to sit through commercial, or I'm probably gonna get taken off here, or YouTube's free movies with commercials. You ever tried sitting through Robin Hood Men in Tights on YouTube? Don't. There's so many commercial breaks in that you forget what jokes they've told, and then the punchline hits you after the commercial. But anyway, Arn the Knight Templar is about a young man who is growing up in the church, and he's as he's growing up, they don't know what they want to do with him, but they find that he has an interest where he could become a fighter, which ends up leading to his eventual job. So one of the people in the church that knows how to fight teaches him how to fight. We find out that even though he doesn't use two weapons, he can fight with either hand. But the reason he was given to the church is his parents needed to make some deal. I think it was to pay for some kind of debt or something. I don't exactly remember, because by the time you get done watching this movie, so much has happened, you kind of forget some of the little stuff. But after he grows up, the church tells him it's time to return home, go see your family, and he does. But when he gets there, eventually he sees Cecilia. Arn sees Cecilia, and he instantly falls in love. Love at first sight. I mean, the epitome of love at first sight. I mean, they barely know each other, and things happen, and then lots of things happen called pregnancy. But anyway, this leads to them both getting in trouble because she was promised to another kingdom. There's this whole story about who gets the crown, and different places want the crown, and I'm not even going to try to explain it. Anyway, she was promised to someone else, and her punishment and his punishment is they're sent away for 20 years. 20 years. He's first sent away to go live at the monastery or whatever he was at before, and uh, she is put with the nuns. And let me just put it this way: there's a lot of villains in this movie, and none are worse than the nuns. Um, there's the lead nun, even on spoiler alert, even on her deathbed, she's a handful. But anyway, instead of staying at the monastery, they send Arn to Jerusalem to fight in the Crusades. So he becomes a Knight Templar, a holy knight. And so when we see him first, he stops some bandits from killing some travelers. Come to find out, this traveler is one of the big wigs for the people they're fighting, and he's like, "You're not going to kill me." He's like, "Look, our job is to protect the area and protect people from evil." He goes, "You have my word," and they kind of form a bond, which ends up becoming a problem for our main character during the Crusades, because a lot of the people that he fights with are just like, "What, you're buddies with him now? What, are you going to betray us?" Even though he never falters in his in his supporting his own people. He tells this guy he saves, he's like, "Look, we're going to fight you, and if I have to, I'm going to kill you, but right now you're safe because I gave you my word." But this leads to something that happens down the road. There's a respect there, and it ends up working out for our main character in the end. So as the movie's going, as he's fighting in the Crusades, we get tons of stories of Cecilia with the nuns, them trying to break her, and her whole thing is she wants to get out of there. And by the way, I said she was pregnant. They take away her baby. The second it's born, she gets to hold it for like 5 seconds, and they're like, "Nope, gone." And the nun ends up confessing, the head nun ends up confessing they took the kid away to punish her and to break her, even though it does not. So it turns out that Arn is given his papers to where he can leave once his service is up, his 20 years is up. He has like a paper, a scroll that says he's free and he owes us nothing, because he ends up finding a way to ambush the enemy so they can't get to Jerusalem. And this ends up, in some ways, biting him in the butt later, because he steps over his bounds over a higher upper in the army, and that person ends up getting to be in charge, and that which leads to, in the end, their defeat. So anyway, that's all going on in Jerusalem. The stuff with his girlfriend with the nuns is happening, and so eventually those stories wrap up. She's free to go. They don't break her. He ends up in the final battle where all of his friends get killed, but since he treated the head of the people they are fighting with mercy, they save his life and let him go. So he goes home. And also, when she gets freed, she gets to meet her son, who, again, this movie spans over like 20 years or 20 years plus, because all of a sudden he's grown. And that's one issue I have with this movie, is they don't make it feel like it's been 20 years. The stuff with his girlfriend with the nuns, that feels like it's dragging through time. But the stuff with Arn in Jerusalem does not, even though you got to remember, big deserts and all that, there's plenty of travel. So of course time is going, but, so he gets to go home. He gets to be with his girlfriend, but then, there's a war for the crown, which Arn has to go, him and his son, have to go fight in. And that's about where I'll stop when it comes to the story. This movie, it's a little hard to follow, but it's still really good. I'm not going to try to pronounce half the people's names in this. What's crazy, though, is, man, they jump to so many different languages in this. They go from English to Swedish to others, and it's to Arabic, and so you're really, it really throws you off a little bit. It's like they'll be speaking in Arabic, then all of a sudden the one speaking Arabic will all of a sudden just start speaking English, and it just kind of throws you off a little bit. So the language just kind of throw you off a little bit. So if you don't like subtitles, and especially if you don't like it when it gets mixed way too much to where it's hard to follow, you might not dig that in this movie. When the fighting happens, it's really good. It doesn't happen a lot, but when the fighting does go on, it is good. It is good action. I do like that this movie, it talks a lot about what does faith really mean. Can you just blindly trust in God, or do you have to follow your heart as well? Like the armies of the Crusades, they get this big gold cross, and they're like, well, we're never going to lose a battle now, so we can do stupid stuff like not plan accordingly. And then you also have Arn and Cecilia. They're in love with each other, and they're the only thing that gets them through their 20 years is knowing they'll be back together. Granted, still, it was like love at first sight, and they were barely together. So that was just kind of, in some ways, it's hard to believe, but hey, it's the movie they're telling, and people didn't live too long back then. So, and here's another thing. Apparently, people have made up a history for this. They're trying to say that a lot of these characters are real. Now, I guess where the characters end up in the future, like where their ancestors in the future end up, those were real people, but they kind of created this history for them. That's what I'm finding anyway. One other thing is Stellan Skarsgård is in this, and he's really good. And then two of his sons are in it, which I saw one of them, and I didn't even know this son. And then apparently another son, which I did know. I didn't see him in it, didn't even know he was in it. Gustav Skarsgård was in this, and his character's pretty prominent. But then apparently Bill Skarsgård's in this, but I don't remember his character. So it was just kind of neat to see that. But I love Stellan Skarsgård, and he's really good in this. He has a pretty prominent supporting role. But yeah, this is just a really solid movie. Again, it's a little hard to follow, and it's just kind of crazy that when I saw it the first time, I only saw the first half because either the other one wasn't out or it was just still in two parts. Because now when they show it, it's together. Because when he finds out he gets to go home after when he gets to go home after finding out, or after helping them win the battle before their army gets slaughtered later, that's where the movie ended. And they show them telling his girlfriend, hey, he's alive and he's coming home. But no, see, when they have the second movie, that part gets cut out, and then it continues to where he's still with the army and he still has time to serve and all this different stuff. So it was just weird seeing this in like two different stories. Because again, the second half of the movie, I'm like, what is this? I don't remember this. But yeah, it's been shown as two movies. It's been shown that right now it's one movie. It's been shown as like a miniseries, at least the first half. I don't know if the second half was, but it's been shown like a miniseries form. I think it was like they split the first half into 6 episodes, I think. Because I remember seeing that there was like a show, and I'm like, oh, is there a TV show? I'd like to see that because I like the movie. So this movie, again, if you want to see it, it's on Tubi TV, which again you do have to watch commercials, but you know what? It's not so bad on Tubi TV. I do really like this movie. There are better movies about knights and things like that, but I did enjoy the quests of our two main characters, where it's like they're trying to survive what's being forced upon them to get back to each other, and then you think, oh, it's going to be all hunky-dory when they get back to each other, but nope, more problems. Some people might not like some of the stuff that happens at the end. I thought it fit the movie, so I enjoyed it. I mean, it would have been nice to have a perfect, happy Hollywood ending, but this isn't a Hollywood movie. So, but anyway, I do enjoy this movie. It's Arn the Last Templar. Again, if you want to see it, it's on Tubi TV. See you later.